Well, here we are. 3 games done for tonight. I caught what I could after we got home from the hockey. Today's kids' hockey. This was the last one before Christmas. And it's kind of fun. I've been doing this now for about the 9th or 10th week I've been doing it. And, being able to converse with the kids and get along with the kids, it's kind of a fun thing to do. And we did technically lose the game today, and I say technically because there was one player who was having a particularly rough game, and that was the goaltender that was in our net. Goaltenders were switched a little bit past halfway through, and then he allowed goals the other way. So while my team's having a comeback, all I could think was, oh, he's having a rough night. So that was where I was at. Rather than being all like, hey, we almost came back and we almost tied it, I was like, oh, that's got to be rough. To switch sides like that. But he'll likely come back for the next one, I would think. But since it's not organized hockey, since it's just kind of it's homeschool hockey, and it's kind of a drop-in as well, so it's all homeschooled kids. You never know from 1 week to the next who you're going to get. We'll see if he's out there next time. And the funny thing is, very, very, very few of anybody who's related to that whole thing and has any clue who I am. Nobody who plays on my team other than my stepson has a clue who I am. As far as I can tell, nobody cares. Nobody knows. All right, let's start things off with Anaheim in against the New Jersey Devils. And I'm very happy right now for the Devils because it would be easy to roll over and say, well, we're done. Our best player's gone. And in the first period, Henrique scores from Kasha and Fowler at 3:33. And again, at that point, it'd be easy to say, you know what? Then we're probably done. They get outshot mildly in that first period. Second period, Heischer scores from Bratt at 1:28. And so it's a 1-1 tie. The Devils get a power play right around the half, and they score on it. So they trade away Taylor Hall, and suddenly their power play worked tonight. Palmieri scored from Gusev and Butcher at 11:29, and I had mentioned in the preview that I felt that Palmieri was a guy who, might be able to chip in some more goals, and Gusev needed to get more ice time and more of a chance to put points on the board. So nice to see that. Zacha then just missed one wide. The Ducks get a power play late, but 27 seconds later, the Ducks take a penalty. Ducks have been having some problems lately with that, and it reared its ugly head again tonight. So we go into the third period, and near the start of that period, there's a very brief power play for New Jersey. As that power play has ended, Vatanen scores from Hughes at 1 minute. So Jack Hughes with an assist, Vatanen with a goal. It's not technically a power play goal, unless they did the Ottawa rule and they changed the clock to make it a power play goal afterwards. But that makes it 3-1, and that is really an insurmountable climb for this Anaheim Ducks team that once again can't get goals. And the fact that now Troy Terry's going to be out for an extended period, and they're without Derek Grant for an extended period. Those two injuries came out today. It's bad for the Ducks right now. A lot of injuries, and they were already a team that had trouble scoring before the injuries. Severson and Comtois then had a fight, by which I mean Comtois kind of hung on while Severson was punching him. I don't know if Comtois got a punch in there. From what I could tell, it was only a fight in terms of his face fought with the guy's fist. And it was after a hit by Comtois as well. Solid defense by the Devils in this one. And you can read that the other way, that it was poor offense by the Anaheim Ducks. So, could go either way on that one. There's a goalie pull with 4 minutes and 12 seconds left. But the Devils took a penalty at 15:57. The Ducks get a power play. They call a timeout. And then, after not scoring on that power play with 1 minute and 18 seconds left, he sure draws a power play. They could have awarded a goal there. They really could have. I think it was Fowler took the penalty. But if you're holding up a guy who's got an empty net in front of him, the referees can award a goal. And I was really surprised they didn't. So that power play just ends it. Miller goes back in the net, and that's the end of your game. 3-1 for New Jersey. Jersey will take that. For Anaheim, this is another blow to their chances of making any sort of a comeback. They're behind so many teams right now, and this is just an absolute disaster. Miller saved 17 out of 20 in the loss. Blackwood saved 26 out of 27. He looked pretty good. 3 stars are Heischer, Palmieri, and Blackwood. And New Jersey, now I guess when Arizona comes into play, they can do the "we don't need you" chant that the Islanders do to Tavares. We'll see if that's where we're headed with this, but New Jersey looked pretty good. Again, You can take that with a grain of salt because it's against an Anaheim team that is really struggling to score, and this was their second game in 2 nights. Power plays 0 for 2 for Anaheim, 1 for 4 for New Jersey. The shots were 9-8 Anaheim in the first, 8-7 in favor of New Jersey in the second. In the third, Anaheim outshot them 11-4, but outside of that goal by Henrique in the first, they could not solve Blackwood. Final shots 27-20 in favor of the Anaheim Ducks. So, pretty impressive win for New Jersey. We'll see if it's going to be a start of a pattern or if this is just another sign that Anaheim's year keeps getting worse. Next up, Colorado. This is a bad matchup for Chicago. Can we agree? This is not a team that Chicago wants to see, and yet they're going to see them again pretty darn soon. Now, early on, both Francouz and Crawford playing pretty darn well. Francouz would continue that throughout the night. I would honestly give him honorary 3-star selection, but there's somebody I want to mention in the St. Louis game instead, who I would give the honorary 3-star selection to. It was evenly played early, but then the Avalanche picked up some pressure, and that led to Cole scoring from Landeskog and Zadorov at 8:41. But Chicago doesn't take that lying down. They don't. Carpenter scores from DeBrincat at 9:48, so it's 1-1. But the aggressive forecheck by the Avs is really quite noticeable here, and it starts getting under the skin of the Chicago Blackhawks, and that's something that there would be kind of a back and forth between these teams throughout the night. The Avalanche were up 14-5 in shots at the 15-minute mark. So coming out of the first period, it's 1-1, but definitely the flow of the play was in favor of the Avs. In fact, by the time this period's over, one of those shots by Chicago gets taken away, according to the app. So the shots were 14-5 in the game, but by the time the period was over, they go, no, they had 4 shots in that period. So the shots were probably 14-4, maybe 14-3. Maybe they took 2 shots away. I don't know. Second period, the Hawks get a power play. Then on that power play, they hit the crossbar. No luck for the Hawks tonight. But it was a much better game for Crawford to that point. Crawford, who got absolutely drilled in the first 2 meetings between these teams, looked pretty good. And then McKinnon scores from Rantanen at 7:49. And then less than 3 minutes later, Burakovsky scores at 10:08. And it's 3-1. Just like that. That's how Colorado works. Colorado scares the living you-know-what out of me. All right, Francouz then denied Saad. The Avs ended up getting a power play. They didn't score on theirs. The Hawks got a power play. They looked really good on that power play. They didn't get a goal on it. None of their power plays would be successful tonight. They really needed a goal on that one to make it a 1-goal game going into the third. But it was 3-1. There was early pressure for the Avs in that third period. The Hawks then at around the 9-minute mark, they started really pushing. And Francouz held. Then Girard's coming in. Okay, so they're coming back. Girard's coming back. DeBrincat takes a shot. The whistle goes. After the whistle's gone, Girard takes an off-balance DeBrincat and shoves him over and into the boards. Now, to me, that you can call that interference. You could call it a cross-check. It's a late hit. It was a late hit. And the Hawks, seeing DeBrincat doubled over on the ice, weren't happy about it. So there's a scrum. The end result is Colorado gets a power play after Girard hit DeBrincat. And the fans weren't happy, and I couldn't figure out how they got a power play out of that either, because I'm not arguing it's a suspension. I'm not going crazy. But a 2-minute minor, absolutely. Girard on that play, it's late. The whistle's already gone. You take a guy who doesn't have the puck, you're shoving him into the boards. It's at least interference. It's at least a 2-minute. And for Chicago to defend their player DeBrincat, absolutely understandable. Any team would do that, or at least any team should do that. And the Avs get a power play out of it. But there was a lot of feeling in the game at that point, and you definitely got the feeling this could really blow up. It didn't. They pulled the goalie with over 3 minutes left, and Rantanen can't resist an empty net. He scores at 17:04. Your final score is 4-1 for Colorado. DeBrincat stayed in the game. He was okay. I think he was winded by that throw into the boards, because he kind of hit his back. So I think he probably ended up winded on that play, but that was a rough-looking play. Francouz saves 31 out of 32 in the win. Crawford saves 32 out of 35 in the loss. Your 3 stars are McKinnon, Landeskog, and Burakovsky. Power plays, Colorado 0 for 2, Chicago 0 for 3. Shots were 19-4 for Colorado at the end of that first, according to the app, again. And what it told me was they were 14-5 at 15 minutes in the game I was watching. So, I don't know. I guess we'll take the app on this. 16-10 for Chicago in the second. 10-7 Chicago in the third. Final shots 36-32 for Colorado. These teams meet again on Saturday. Yeah. They both play tomorrow. Colorado is at home against Carolina, and Chicago goes to Winnipeg, and then they meet again on Saturday. You might want to set your PVRs for that one. That could be an ugly, ugly, ugly game. All right. Last up, St. Louis at home against the Oilers. And I'm going to say right off the bat, my honorary 3-star member for tonight is Ryan O'Reilly. I don't know how he didn't get a star tonight because McDavid was quiet. And so early in the game, Brouwer hits the crossbar. McDavid then took a penalty, which led to a Blues power play. It feels to me like, and maybe this is just because I watch a lot of hockey now and I just notice these things. It feels to me like McDavid takes a lot of penalties. He just does. Like he takes a lot, and that a lot of those penalties are in frustration, and this felt like a frustration hooking penalty. The Blues were playing well, but Koskinen held. Koskinen was fantastic tonight. And honestly, he should be an honorary 3-star as well. Yeah, okay. So Koskinen, we'll have 5 stars in this game. Koskinen and O'Reilly. How's that sound? Kassian then flattened Sundqvist, which led to a scrum. Now Sundqvist was taking a penalty on the play. It was a clean hit by Kassian. He hit him straight on, right in the chest. Clean hit. The Blues didn't like it. I'm sure people who don't like Sundqvist like that hit a lot. I'm looking at a lot of fans of not St. Louis on that one. The Oilers get another power play in the last minute. Allen robbed McDavid. Now, this would continue as a trend for the rest of this game. There were a lot of what you would call ticky-tack penalties, where you go, I guess. But, all right, second period, the Blues get a power play. Then it turns into a 5-on-3 for a minute and a half. And Draisaitl got a chance during that 5-on-3. Very solid penalty kill, and for Draisaitl to get a shot on goal while they're killing a 5-on-3 was excellent. But Schenn would score from Dunn and Schwartz at 8:04. They've changed the scoring on that goal twice, so if that's not Dunn and Schwartz that are the assists on it after all. Because Kyrou and Dunn were named it, and Kyrou and Schwartz I've seen, and now I see Dunn and Schwartz, so whatever. 8:04, Schenn gets the goal. The Blues then pushed for another, but Koskinen stood tall there. The Blues get another power play, and then the Blues took a penalty, which ended that power play. Then we get another Blues power play. This was ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous, and it destroyed all flow to the game. And I hate it when referees do this. I know there are times where teams are both taking liberties, and you got to call penalties, but it's insanity when you see this many. There were 6 power plays in that game, 5 in that one, 9 in this one. A lot of them were in that second period. There was a late turnover that nearly cost the Blues, but turnovers at the other end were costing the Oilers. And then the Blues jabbed at the goalie. And the interesting thing is you can clearly hear an Oiler player on the ice yelling, "Stop it." Like, stop it, stop the play, blow the whistle. The whistle goes. Then they have a scrum in the back. And you can clearly hear, I don't know which Blue said it, but he said, "Bleep you, you never had it." And I thought it was hilarious. I had a good laugh. And I'm telling you, it was really funny. Because the Oilers are all like, "Ah, how dare you?" And the Blues are like, "You didn't have it, so we'll jab at the goalie all we like." So, yeah, that was a funny exchange. So we go into the third, and again, much like that game, these teams really didn't like each other by the third period. McEachern would score from O'Reilly and Perron at 6:23. Ryan O'Reilly was up matched against Connor McDavid for half the time that McDavid was on the ice tonight, and he was limited through, I want to say, the first 50 minutes of this game to 1 shot. 1. Ryan O'Reilly and that blue line, looking at you, Colton Parayko, fantastic job against McDavid. The Oilers' zone entries weren't clicking. So something that they highlighted and pointed out on Sportsnet was that every time they would get into the St. Louis zone, their passes were picked off, or they'd have a problem with the stick handling, and the Blues would be going the other way on a fast break. And this was a problem for them most of the night. Koskinen, though, was great. He covered for it. Allen then denied Kassian, and there was a scrum after that. So Kassian kind of getting involved, leading to some scrums. That would continue for the rest of the game. Big surprise for people who've known Zach Kassian for a while, of course. The Oilers were improving, but I felt it might have been too late. Koskinen then stopped Steen, so Steen had a really good opportunity that Koskinen set aside. They pull the goalie with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left, which is early-ish, but when you're down by 2, it makes sense. And then there was a goal scored by James Neal, which St. Louis challenged for goalie interference because Zach Kassian was sort of up on the goaltender, but that challenge went by the wayside. So the Oilers get a power play, and Neal's goal counts from Kassian and Draisaitl at 18:10. I agreed with them not calling it as a goalie interference either. It's there, but he's pushed in by the other player, and so it's one of those things where if he'd been in his crease, maybe, but I'm pretty sure he was outside the crease, so... Anyways, there was a power play for the Oilers. Draisaitl hits the post at 19:40, around 19 minutes and 40 seconds into that third period. There was a scrum at the buzzer, which involved, that's right, Zach Kassian, who may not be on Christmas card lists for members of the Blues next week. Koskinen saved 42 out of 44. Allen saved 30 out of 31. Your 3 stars are Allen, Schenn, and Bouwmeester. I understand Bouwmeester had a good game and Schenn had a good game, but man, without Ryan O'Reilly out there shutting down McDavid, this game would have been a whole lot different. Great game for him, and without Koskinen saving 42, this game would have been about 4-1 for St. Louis. Power plays 0 for 4 for the Oilers, 0 for 5 for St. Louis. Shots were 15-10 Blues in the first, 19-8 in the second for the Blues, 18-10 Oilers in the third. Allen stood up against that. Jake Allen is quietly having a very, very good year for St. Louis. While we all were ready this summer to say, well, Allen's done, he's telling us he's not. Final shots, 44-36 in favor of the Blues. They win the game, and tomorrow night, we've got 10 games. What changed in the playoff picture? Nothing. Nothing changed tonight. The Oilers stay in third place. The problem with the Oilers is with that loss, they now have to wait and see what Calgary does tomorrow night, and they have to worry about teams underneath them. They do not advance past Vegas or get any closer to Arizona. This is a bit of a slide for Edmonton. There are reasons to be concerned about their scoring. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.